Hello and welcome to the first part of this exciting new series, or at least I hope it will be exciting. Now as we go, I will do the code along with you, tell you what you need to click, where you need to go. That's not a problem, and then we will take a pause and recap what we've done and the why that we've done it. So if you're just interested in the code and want to get to the nitty-gritties, then I'll put the timestamps that you can skip the learning and just do the doing. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to load up the third person template, click create, and watch it do its thing. So we're going to create a new folder inside content, third person, blueprints. Then we're going to right click, select new folder. I want to call mine Boulder Run, but you can call yours whatever you want. And then we are going to click into the level, and at the top here in selection mode we're going to click modeling, and then we're going to go down to create. So faves, create, I'm going to select this sphere, and you don't need to drag it, you just need to click on it and press on it out in the world, and then we're going to make that 100 wide. Okay, and then the next thing that we need to do is we're going to go to Xform, and we're going to go to edit pivot, and we're just going to come here where it says box positions and click center, and then down here where it says new asset, we just want to create that in the current folder. So we're going to click accept. Now it may end up going to this generated folder just here. If that happens, then we just need to go into it and drag it across to Boulder Run and select move here. So now we've got our boulder, let's open up our rock. Doesn't look too great. So we're going to add a sphere simplified collision to it, and then we're going to come over to the details panel, scroll down to collision complexity, and use simple collision as complex, and click save. And then we can close this window. We can go back to our Boulder Run, control space to get back to the content drawer. If we right click, select blueprint class, type in actor. This is our BP underscore boulder. And here we just need to click on the add button here, and we will add a static mesh. And we just want to get our sphere static mesh and add it here. Okay, so next we need to simulate physics because we want it to be able to run, and we want the mass, and we want it to be quite heavy. So put in a large number like so. Collision presets, we want it to block all, but we don't want it to block the camera. So drop it down to block all and come back and select custom. We're just going to ignore custom. We're going to select custom and ignore the camera so that it doesn't get in the camera's way. Okay, now this boulder looks a little bit empty, a little bit boring, so we can come over here to the fab plugin. We can type in rock or stone, rock or stone. Drop the price down to 3, and we'll get this. I'll get this smooth rock. You can get a rock that you like the look of. And then we're going to come up here to material, find the name of the fab one that we've just downloaded. So this is MIPJCE. So you can either select it and click on this little arrow here and that'll add it, or you can find it manually just here. So that's added a material to our boulder. So we can get rid of this one, come back to our content drawer, go back to our blueprints, go back to Boulder Run, and drag out our boulder. Now if we press play here, this should drop to the floor. There we go. And we can't move it, which is what we want. So Next thing, we'll zoom out a little bit. We'll take one of these. We'll make it a path, and then we'll flip it up on its side. We'll press Ctrl D to duplicate that, and then we'll flip that over. It's a little bit fiddly. And we can turn off the snapping at the top to make it a little bit smoother, just like that. So Ctrl D again. We just want one for the other side, like that. And then we're going to just get our boulder here, lift it up in the air a little bit, press play, and there we go. There's our boulder. Now, we seem to have superhuman strength. It doesn't do anything when it hits us. That's not what we want. So let's sort that out. Go back to our boulder blueprint that we've left. We're going to add one more thing. We're going to add a sphere collision just here. And then we're going to scroll down to the bottom where it says component begin overlap, just here. So we need to make sure the radius is large enough to cover the boulder, just like that. To third person, just in the blueprints part, I'm going to right click, select blueprint from the little menu, and go to blueprint interface. And we're going to call this BPI character interface. BPI character. And in here we're just going to make one function called def. Okay. So now we're going to come out of that, go into the third person character, go to class settings, come down to the bottom, select add for implemented interface, and type in BPI character. Now you'll see that it's been added here, so we're just going to click on that, and we're going to simulate physics. We're just going to tick that in the event graph on our begin overlap. We're going to get the other actor and call the def message. So we're just going to change our collision settings from character mesh to pawn. Okay, so that gives us all the block channels that we need, and then when we right click, we will simulate physics. Now the capsule is still moving around, so we need to get the capsule and set collision to be no collision. So we're going to right click and set movement mode, and see this one character movement. Just going to grab that and set it to none, so we stop moving. So now when the boulder hits us, we're not moving anymore, our body's right. This is the first part of the boulder run. Very basic, run away from the boulder, get hit by it, you crumple over and you die. Talk about interfaces. So an interface, if we have a look, this is our character interface, BPI character, and it has one function, def, in here. So if we go to our third person character, in our class settings we can see that it's implementing this interface and it has access to this function, and we are telling it what to do when it's being told to run this def function. So we're simulating the physics, we are setting the capsule to no collision so that things can move through it, and then we are stopping the movement so we can't move anymore. Okay, now the boulder has this event called def. It's the def message. Okay, so this one, def message, and the target for that is the other actor. Now we could cast to BP third person, and then if that fails, cast to something else to get something else, but that seems really messy, so we're not doing that. So what this allows us to do is anybody that has the BPI character and has implemented def, if they are hit, it sends a message to them, and then here the message is received and executed. So if we had another character, let's call him Bob, and Bob didn't have the BPI character, the blueprint interface on his character blueprint, he would not get this message because he hasn't got the interface to be able to receive it. Now if Bob did have the interface and Bob and our character were stood next to each other, they would both get this message, and then they would both do their special functions that they've got for def. Okay, and that's why interfaces are a little bit more versatile than casts in terms of what they can do. I can implement this on multiple characters, and I don't need to cast to them to say, yes, this is a thing that this person can do. It's just this communicates between the two of them. Cool. So I hope that helps you understand why we've done it this way and not used a cast. Interfaces are very powerful, and we will be using them as an alternative to cast. Now to do this, we're going to go back to our modeling mode. So if you've closed it, go back up to the top, select modeling, select create. We're just going to create a box, and here we're going to make it wider, and we're going to make it thinner, and we're going to make it taller, just like that. Okay, and then we're going to select offset, right click, browse to asset. So it's put this one inside our blueprints folder, so we're just going to move it here, select it again, come up to the top, so where modeling tool is, and we're going to go down to fracture. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to break this mesh, so we're going to create a new fracture asset. We're going to call it GC wall, and we're going to create this geometry collision. Okay. Now, we've got some options down the side. We can do a uniform split. We can do a cluster split. So a uniform splits it into equal amounts. Cluster splits it into amounts that aren't necessarily equal but all clustered together. We can do a radial split, which is from the center point. We can do bricks, and we can do slices. All depends on what you want to do. Or we can do a plane, which just takes a slice off. So we're going to do radial. We want it to break in the middle, hopefully where the boulder hits it. Or we could do brick. We'll make them English bricks, best kind of bricks. And that shows you where the bricks will be and how it will explode. So we'll click fracture. It's making all the bricks that we need, and then when we explode it, it will show you where the explode happens. Okay, so now we're going to come off that. It's all funky looking coloured, so we can scroll down and find bones in the details. So click show bone colour, untick that, come off that, and then we've got a brick wall. So if we come up to the top and click these three dots, we can select simulate, and that'll show us what it will look like. As you can see, it busts through that. Just duplicate that a little bit. Control D to duplicate. Put it down a little bit. Press play. So here we can see that this collision is reacting. The second collision is reacting to the first one. It ends from the wall, the instance, and we'll scroll down and make it so that it doesn't damage the other wall. And then it's only the boulder that damages itself. So now if we click here, the rock comes and knocks us completely out of the way. Now you may need some anchor points. So if we come here, go to blueprint class, drop it down, type in anchor. And you want this anchor field generic. Okay, we want to just drag that out and make it bigger. And what? Just like that. One on the other side, and then put one just there, and another one just there. So now when you select the wall, you need to type in initialization fields, and we can use this little dabber to select the two walls, and that should keep our walls steady while they break. As you see here, a few of the details were on the side, as would happen in a normal wall, just like that. So our walls are looking a bit drab. We're just going to go back to Fab and get some more materials. So we're going to get brick, get the price, change it to free. Get this texture just here. And then we're gonna go and find it in our Fab. I'm just gonna select it and make it look a bit better. So our boulder is now busting through these walls. Just like that. So here we have a rock busting through the walls and rolling down the hill. Our first block trap.